Welcome to my Construction Management 124 Spring 2020 position presentation. I would like to first introduce myself. My name is Benny Ibarra. I'm a first-year student at Fresno State, and I transferred from Fresno City College with my associates in economics. I plan to continue my education in economics and earn my bachelor's degree. I've also chosen a minor in construction management, and that is part of the reason why I'm in this class. A little bit more about me. I was born and raised, I still live today here in Madera. It's been pretty cool to see the development that has been happening over the past decade in Madera with the new courthouse that was built, the current projects that are happening now, like the Highway Freeway 99 and the hospital that's being built on Road 26 in Madera. So all those projects are pretty interesting to be able to see them from the ground up and see the finished project. And during the course of this class, it's been pretty intriguing to learn about more in-depth subjects like bidding, human resources, deadlines, things like that, which are all pretty new to me. And so to get into my project today, I will be further discussing and arguing for private developers should not be required to pay prevailing wage on all their projects. Before I get into any arguments, I do want to give a background and a history on what prevailing wage laws are. Prevailing wage laws require contractors and subcontractors to pay majority of their workers no less than the local prevailing wage requirement. And prevailing wage acts like some sort of minimum wage for workers that are working on any public projects. And so in 1931, the Davis-Bacon Act created prevailing wage laws for all federal projects. Following that, the Little Miller Act created prevailing wage laws for all state projects. And so with that being said, federal project could be like a federal prison, federal government building, and a state project was something like the state prison or the fast train that is being built right now. And so the Little Miller Act is only active in 32 states, while the Davis-Bacon Act is active in all states. So what that means is all federal projects in all states require prevailing wage laws, but only 32 states require prevailing wage laws on state projects. Getting into my first argument would be to create a new law and to force private developers into paying new wages, higher wages, would be ethically wrong. A lot of private developers are self-employed, work for themselves and have a small crew, which means they aren't large in numbers. They don't have a lot of money to spend, and they don't make billions of dollars like large corporations do. And they can't make money by selling stocks and bonds like these big companies can. So for private developers, they work hard for themselves and they earn their living. And it would just cause a lot of damage and cause a lot of, force a lot of self-employed workers to go out of business because they wouldn't be able to afford to pay these prevailing wages. And in the law, as it states, prevailing wage only applies to public works, federal works. And the law, I do agree with it how it stands, and I don't think it should change. Another point to that is it's very hard to change laws. It takes a lot of years, so that would spend a lot of time and effort to create a new law that just did nothing but harm and would cause unemployment for a lot of like I said, self-employed contractors, and subcontractors, things like that. My second argument would be that prevailing wage laws increase the price of projects. Now, with this being in effect and the price of projects being increased, that also means jobs and projects can be lost due to over budgeting. In an article written by Kristen Olsen in 2017, she mentions that data shows government mandating prevailing wages will raise new home prices as much as $79,000 per unit. And that's according to the report by the California Center for Jobs and the Economy. That is a large number, almost $80,000, that could be saved if the prevailing wage law was not in place. Going to another article written by Bill Guada in 2015, he says, lawmakers, construction companies, and local government leaders spread Tuesday over a Republican bill that would repeal Wisconsin's prevailing wage law, with supporters saying that the measure would save money and opponents arguing the law guarantees quality construction wage equality. So with that being said, prevailing wage just causes a lot of problems and a lot of tensions, especially for self-employed private developers who seek to develop new projects. And the laws, like I said, that are in place do not really affect private developers, but if this law does get put into place, it will greatly affect these individuals who work hard for themselves and not for a corporation. And could put a lot of people out of jobs, out of work, and could cause a recession. So with these laws that are in effect, I have no problem with where they stand, but I do not believe that they should cross the boundaries of forcing private developers to pay prevailing wage. My last argument, it comes from a interview which I conducted with a fellow classmate of mine in my construction management 5 class. His name is Angel Escobar. He's a junior enrolled at Fresno State University, and he's majoring in civil engineering. So when I brought up the discussion if prevailing wage laws should be required by private developers, and I explained the details to him, the pros and the cons, he immediately agreed that private developers should not be required to pay prevailing wages. And as himself, he says, quote, one day I hope to be a self-employed contractor, and I do not want to be forced to pay extra wages to my workers if I don't have to. He also mentioned that he would love to pay his workers as much as possible and the equal fair amount, but prevailing wage just does not make sense to him, and it's way more than anybody should be able to pay for on private projects. And so with that being said, with all of my arguments that I brought up today, I hope you understand, and I hope you get a better understanding of what prevailing wage laws are and the bad that they come with. They do no good. They do not help self-employed contractors, and they aren't beneficial for anybody. So I hope that you can agree with me on my argument that private developers should not be required to pay prevailing wage on all projects. Thank you.